Outside of the Echo Chamber, the official I Dream of Indie Games podcast is brought to you by you, the gamer. If you'd like to join our mission to support indie visibility, head over to patreon.com/idreamofindiegames and bring a voice to the voiceless ones in gaming. Well, hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of Outside of the Echo Chamber. I am Old Gamer Joe here with Silent Signs. This is your number one indie gaming podcast on the net, though there probably aren't that many of these, are there?
Yeah, we also don't know if that's true, but it is the only one that we are involved in, and really that's all that matters.
Yeah, it's probably not number one at all. I just, give me a break here. I'm like jet lagged, even though I'm not the one that flew into PAX East. I just did a lot of driving with you, obviously going through the same situation. So
it's number one in our minds.
You're yawning as we speak. It's not that you're bored about this conversation, are you?
No, I'm just exhausted.
Yes, so we should explain this episode of Outside of the Echo Chamber is brought to you by, well, you, the gamer. So thank you for your support. You're getting it 3 days early if you're over on patreon.com/idreamofindiegames. Everybody else in the public feeds, you're enjoying this show each and every Thursday. It goes live about 7:30 in the morning. You can enjoy Outside of the Echo Chamber on Spotify. Our YouTube channel, we have a video version of it, even though it's just our still heads kind of bouncing around, and YouTube Music. So a good variety of options there for indie gaming goodness. And this episode's a little bit different. We're not going to have the indie game news. We're not going to go through all of the normal spiel, the topic, because this is our Post-PAX East show. We just got back, was it yesterday?
Yep.
Yesterday, which at the time of this recording was a Sunday, right? No, today's Sunday.
Today's Sunday. Yesterday was Saturday, which is when we got home.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Silent Science. Completely scrambled here. So yes, yesterday was Saturday. This year we did Thursday and Friday at PAX East, switching things up a little bit, but I think it paid off, at least on Thursday, was a much lighter show.
I agree. We, as much as we enjoy the actual PAX for all of the excitement when it comes to game announcements and trailers and checking out exclusive things and bringing you all of that exciting footage, the crowds are really a deterrent for us just because it's so much harder to get you that good, sweet indie-ness.
Yes, it is. It's very difficult when you have a public audience in attendance as well, absolutely flooding the games. Now, obviously, I'm very glad that more people get to enjoy conventions and get to be a part of it, but it does make covering them a bit challenging,
anyway,
I would say.
All that to say, we greatly enjoyed our time on Thursday because there was slightly less people there, and we were really able to get our hands on a lot more things and talk more in depth with some folks, and Friday was a madhouse.
Yeah, it would be awesome if PAX could figure out a way to have more than just the one media hour. So if you don't know, Thursday is the only time, I believe, where you get 1 hour extra if you're media to go in early and try to get a few of those appointments in before the crowds kind of take over. So I'd love to see more hours in the future, just selfishly. Not to sound entitled or anything, but just it's way easier to get coverage. Some of our interviews end up canceled just because, booths get flooded by people.
Yeah, there's some folks that are double, triple booked when we go up to our appointments, so...
Hey, it's totally understandable. It's absolute chaos.
Yeah, it is for everyone involved, but we are here to dissect that chaos into easily digestible bites of indie goodness just for you.
That's right. In fact, you could say we already did because we have a nearly 1 hour video live on the channel right now. People are really enjoying our coverage. We had live interviews going on, some hands-on gameplay. We talked to all of the big hitters pretty much in the indie gaming scene.
Almost all. I will say my one regret is I did not get to play Desktop Survivors.
Yes, it was on our schedule too, and then somehow things got cobbled up, and it's, like I said, PAX is a really crazy situation. We never actually ended up making it over there, did we?
I'm so deeply sad. To the folks over there, I'm so sorry. I really desperately wanted to try out your game and meet you all.
This is the desktop game, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so they are, or at least one of the developers was involved with one of your... Oh, was it
Yeah.
two of the developers?
I believe so.
They were involved in Buddy Simulator?
Yes. Buddy Simulator 1984, one of my favorite games that I've played here for I Dream of Indie and in general.
And that's the tough thing with PAX. You know, even though you are there for days, you can't see everything and you can't get to every booth. We'd love to have covered even 70% of the indies. We probably only got to around 40-50%.
One of which is Desktop Survivors 98, which is the game I was just talking about. There was also some really cool games that we saw that were from tiny development teams. I believe one of which was called Unsent.
Yes, Unsent, yes.
Which was a like 3D platformer type mascot style game almost, where you're delivering mail or packages. That one looked really cool. We were really hoping to stop by that booth, but again, time was of the essence.
Even some of the booths that we did get to check out, we didn't get to necessarily play every game that was at that booth. So what was that cat game you played for a while?
Net Attack? Is that the one you're talking about?
Wasn't there cats involved with that?
It is a cat, yeah. So
I know you really enjoyed it.
Very much another Survivors, like...
I guess you have a thing for that.
Obviously. I was just trying to convince one of my best friends to play Vampire Survivors for the first time because she had never played it. I think I was successful. But anyway... Net Attack is kind of a Vampire Survivors-esque style game where it's an auto shooter. However, it has this added element of like programming and hacking to it, where when you gain what's the word? Like experience. You also can then equip by like hacking your character and like programming different attacks into them. So you're not just like gathering experience and picking from whatever's available. You have to actually program it and connect it all together to work properly. And you can really customize your attacks that way.
Yeah, I noticed when I was watching you do the gameplay, I had like... Maybe it was just the atmosphere around me and stuff, but I had no idea what was going on. It looked a little bit more complex than I was expecting.
At first, I had no idea what was going on, but then it clicked.
Okay, and then you had the nice man there helping you, too.
That always helps. I mean, if I'm sitting at home, I can figure stuff out pretty well on my own, but when I'm sitting in a crowded room of people with, like, 2 different screens next to me with 2 different games on them, and then there's a guy standing over my shoulder, and then you guys are waiting for me to finish, I get a little bit distracted, I think would be the right word. So I have a harder time focusing on what I'm supposed to be doing. So it's always nice when somebody says, hey, you can just do this.
I have to say I'm not huge, even though I really appreciate the help when I'm stuck in a demo or something, I'm just not huge in general about the guy over my shoulder watching me do things in life. That's
I mean,
just me.
They're just trying to gauge your reaction, of course.
And they want you the hell out of there as quick as possible so the next person can play.
That as well, but they're also trying to, you know, how often in life do you get firsthand like a look at somebody partaking in something that you've created so you can really gauge whether they're enjoying it or not. Like that almost never happens.
It's a really good way, I imagine, to see the flaws of your game and what like common things happen to people
up.
You know, where are they getting stuck, that kind of thing. We'll talk a little bit about motion wreck now. I think that's a good segue because it is a game where you actually record your progress, like the lane that you're taking. So say you're going straight, you'll record shadows of yourself going straight. And then when you hit the play button, it will mimic that, if that makes sense. So you'll have to cross tough jumps and stuff like that by mimicking or recording your previous movements. I know that doesn't probably make a lot of sense.
So then can you jump on your own prior self's head to like get height or?
Not exactly. It's basically your shadow is then carrying you forward or upward or whatever trajectory you took to reach out of reach areas.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
It is really cool. It ended up being one of my favorite games of the show. That was over at the Playism booth where we spent a good amount of time. And I know you played a little bit of Mind Diver.
Mind Diver is a mind bleep, let me tell you.
You can actually swear on the podcast.
Oh, it's a mind fuck. Okay.
Mind freak.
Mind freak.
Are you ready?
Chris Angel. Yeah, it's a real mind freak. That one is deep.
I did feel a little bad for you on that, though, because I know first-person games tend to get you ill.
Oh, I know.
And we did not plan it that way. It was kind of, again, a crazy convention. It's whatever's open, and Playism did a really good job at that booth, I have to say, of getting us into any games. A lot of the booths did a cool thing where they would reserve it for press. They'd put a sign up, so then the people in the audience, just the normal attendees, would know that they couldn't play that particular booth.
just for that period of time.
Yeah, for that short period of time while the press was there.
Not trying to hog it for everybody all the time.
Yeah.
But
I think that's the nice way to do it, though.
Yeah.
You know, if there is a nice way, because you do kind of feel like a jerk, don't you? Sometimes, like,
I do.
Oh, I'm stepping in front of this line.
Especially if you see somebody's been waiting there for a long time, and you're like, oh, I have this stupid appointment, but like, I'm so sorry. I don't want to be that guy.
I do feel a little bit like a dick when that happens.
Yeah.
It's not intentional. I'm just trying to do a job.
But yeah, oh man, Mind Diver. So
what is that game exactly? Because I've watched trailers on it, and I've seen you play a little bit of it, and I still am not quite clear. It looks like an art house project almost.
it definitely kind of plays like one, I guess you could say.
Are you literally diving into minds?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what you're doing. So there's this new technology where like you can help people regain lost memories, basically. It's kind of like the opposite of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, where in that, you're trying to erase your memories. This, you're trying to help people restore memories that were lost for whatever reason. So at least in this particular demo, you're helping out this woman who's lost her memories about what happened to her. I don't know if it was for her fiance or her boyfriend or whatever, her partner in some sort of relationship. And she doesn't know what happened to him, and she's trying to piece together what does. So you basically dive into her memories and you try and fill in the blanks. So you'll see these like memory holes, I believe they're called, where you have to fill them in with the person or the object that is being referenced there, and you need to use context clues all around you to find out what that is and fill in the right thing to complete the memory and then progress through there. And as you're doing that, you're basically literally swimming through this woman's mind. Like you have to like do like the breaststroke as you're swimming through the memories.
Rad, actually.
It's really trippy, really cool, definitely confusing. It's one of those things I could definitely see folks being kind of tripped up on. But I liked it.
Yeah, Playism had an eclectic mix over there.
Very.
And it ended up being one of my favorite booths. I know Mike also played, was it Glaciered, which also looked quite fascinating. It took place like 64 billion years in the future or something like that.
Yeah, with these like
mutated creatures.
Prehistoric looking creatures, but I guess they'd be like post-historic, right? Because it's in the future.
Yes, yeah.
I don't know.
And then we had a very lengthy interview, which you can enjoy over there on our YouTube channel, talking to the nice folks of Playism. Very friendly bunch, I have to say. They were really running their booth well.
No one was more enthusiastic, though, than the Cyber Lich guys.
Yes. And that came out of nowhere for me.
Left field.
So that was a very late appointment booking for us. I was almost considering us full for the day. And I'm like, all right, we can squeeze in Cyber Lich. It meant a lot to Mike for whatever reason.
Barely Magic Mike was very enthusiastic about that
now
game.
I know the reason, because it looked awesome.
Understand.
It looked so cool. We were shocked when they told us that they don't have a publisher yet. Very much looked like a Devolver Unhinged style first-person shooter.
That was immediately what I thought when I saw that game happening before my eyes. I said, oh my god, this is a Devolver game if I've ever seen one. So Devolver, I know you stopped by that booth. I know you're not listening to this podcast, but what are you doing?
We should also mention Devolver was very limited in their appearance here at PAX East. They brought some merchandise, and I think they brought one game?
They did, yeah.
But their whole lineup was not present.
Myco Punk or something like that?
Something like that, yeah. They did not have a strong lineup there at all, which makes me wonder if their games are just too early or if they're not really big on conventions these days.
It could just be that they didn't see the benefit of taking what they already had out there on the road, and they didn't have anything that was quite ready yet other than the Myco Punk or whatever that game is called.
And I remember, was it 2 years back, 2 PAX ago, where they had the huge setup for Cult of the Lamb.
Oh, yeah. And the year prior to that, they also had a giant setup.
Yeah, so they've definitely scaled it back. I didn't see Raw Fury again this year.
No Yacht Club, as far as I saw, at least.
Either. So I think it's probably more to do with those companies just not quite being ready to show anything or having anything new.
It could be that. And it could also be that Devolver's a household name at this point.
Yeah.
Even people who aren't really big indie game fans know who Devolver Digital is.
Yeah, they're almost in this weird spot where they don't necessarily feel indie, even though they publish indie-ish projects. They are a household name. That's a good way of putting it.
They've made quite a name for themselves, and I feel like they don't need the publicity necessarily the same way that I don't know, the development team from Cyber Lich might benefit from being at a PAX East,
Right, and I had told myself this year, too, I'm going to get some merch. There were a few things I saw that I wanted. I should have grabbed them Thursday. I made the mistake because a couple of the things I wanted that Suikoden 2 vinyl, which was only $35. I should have grabbed that on Thursday. It was gone. But Devolver, I was really excited to get some of like their niche, maybe shirts that they might have, Hotline Miami stuff, but they really didn't have much. They
It was
had
pretty straightforward. Yeah,
they had a Devolver logo shirt. It wasn't my favorite look. The hats were kind of cool. And then they had
a skateboard.
Yeah, they did have a skateboard. And then they had the Cult of the Lamb stuff, which is, I'm sorry, that's not my favorite game of theirs. I know it's the most popular, but...
You just didn't play it.
I did play it, actually.
Very briefly.
I didn't care for it. It's not my kind of game.
Yeah.
I don't mean to knock you Cult of the Lamb fans out there, but I was a little disappointed with their merch booth. I was really anticipating getting a couple indie shirts. We were also over at Fangamer. Is it Fangamer, I believe?
Yep, and we limited run as well.
Yes. I mentioned Fangamer, though, because they had some pretty cool shirts as well. Nothing that I wanted to fight through the line for, though. There was a Signalist shirt that I considered. That was like the deepest cut. I'm really looking for those deep cut indie merchandise pieces, but I feel like because those games are so niche, they probably don't make merch lines per se for a lot of them. And a lot of the bigger indie releases had like shirts, like, your obvious Stardew Valleys and games like that.
Oh, of course. But that's huge. That's another thing that's just taken on a whole life of its own.
Yeah, so anyways, you were mentioning a limited run games there as well. What did you think of their setup? They had quite a few physical products on display. Now, we know a lot of people in our Discord are always saying, I like their products, but it takes a long, long time for them to arrive. Well, if you are ever in the area where you can go to a convention or if you're traveling to one, good opportunity to be able to buy those games in person.
Or if you know one of us and you're like, hey, you want to pick me up one of them games?
I made the offer, actually, but I guess people were saying they were waiting for, Gex and some of the cool games that they were showing.
That's totally valid.
Which, again, in our interview video, we checked out the Gex trilogy. This filled me with joy, Silent Sons. There was something so nostalgic about seeing Gex return. I'll have to say that this particular trilogy, it seemed light on any real substantial updates. They have fixed the camera a bit, they've made it a bit more playable, but they really hold true to that original PS1 graphical style. There's no real up-resing like we saw in Croc or anything like that, where they really went all out. Now, we'll see about developer interviews and all that kind of thing. They did mention that Dana Gould was all of these years later still very excited about the character Gex. You'll get all of his original voice work. I went hands-on with it, and, it felt fresh enough still somehow. I feel like they just lightly touched it up enough where it's playable.
Yeah.
And it's fun. It's still fun, honestly.
It still looks like...
a PS1 game through and through.
It does,
yeah. Really, if you're expecting the Croc treatment here, which I think we all got kind of spoiled by how good that was.
That was shocking, yeah.
Yeah, they did a fantastic job over there at Argonaut, but I have to say, playing Gex in any form, it just filled me with joy again. And they were really nice folks. They take a lot of flack over there at Limited Run Games, I have to say. They were very nice folks.
They were very nice. They also had some really cool selections that I wasn't expecting to see there, like they had In Stars in Time.
Oh, did they?
Physical
I didn't
copy.
actually notice that. I like that game a lot.
I definitely wanted to grab that, but I'm not really a physical collector, so I wouldn't.
Right, yeah. What would you even play it on? Are you just displaying it at that point?
Sometimes it's just nice to have, and support a game that you've enjoyed. So
For sure.
I get that.
Yeah. So I like their mission. I do hope that eventually they get a bit more streamlined. Hey, they're probably, they're an indie of sorts too. This is a whole new ball game. We're used to big distributors putting out physical releases, and now you have kind of these smaller companies rising up and figuring things out. I think we'll get to a pretty good place with this eventually, Silent Signs, where it will fulfill that niche. And let's face it, physical games are now, it's crazy to say, becoming a niche, right?
Yeah. Well, speaking of Gex and that interview you did over there, the gentleman that you were interviewing also was wearing another shirt of a platformer that folks might recognize that was also at PAX.
Also coming from Limited Run Games with help from publisher Atari, of all people. Interesting way to bring back Bubsy, but it is, I believe it was called the Bubsy Perfect Collection.
Yeah.
You're going to get Bubsy
like
1, Bubsy 2. There's also a long-lost Bubsy game on there of some kind. I don't think I played that one. And then you get the dreaded Bubsy 3D in that collection as well. Kind of like Gex, they've touched it up lightly, but they've kept the core game what it is. There's a rewind feature, I think I remember, I was messing around with. But it very much just felt like playing on my SNES again, old Bubsy, for better or worse.
But at least you can play it and
You can play
legally.
it a legal way
Yeah.
to get mediocre platformers.
Hey.
Once again, I'm sorry. They're not amazing games. And they never were. They were fine.
But you know what was amazing? That beautiful Bubsy cosplay you did that one time.
It was, yes. I shared that in the video as well, if
Yes.
you all are wondering what I talked about. I thought at least one person was going to think I AI generated that thing, but that is not the case.
I just want you all
That
to
is
know
real.
I document all of these things and I save these pictures for just such a horrendous occasion.
Now, I know I won't be able to attend my funeral one day, but are you just going to have a wall of these ridiculous pictures of me up?
If I'm still alive, then yes.
I hope the Bubsy's up. Please, I asked that one
course.
request at my funeral.
The Bubsy,
Bubsy's
I
up.
also have that one shot of you from after you had your wisdom tooth out. You were high as a kite. That's a classic. That's going on the funeral wall
All right,
for
well,
sure.
I look forward to not seeing that. But, hopefully everyone else will get a laugh out of it. But, Bubsy kind of is what it is. This is a collection, a legal way to get those games. We did actually ask, too, about the possibility of more Gex in the future. He was a little tight-lipped about it, but he seemed like it's something that he wanted to do, right?
Definitely.
So, who knows? Really, for any of this stuff to happen, I know it sounds sucky, but we got to buy the games.
You gotta buy it. You gotta support it. If you want to see more, you gotta buy the thing.
That's what they're saying about Croc as well. People are already clamoring for Croc 2 because they did a really nice job on Croc 1. Well, buy Croc 1. It sells enough, we might be able to do Croc 2. This isn't rocket science.
No,
We
it's
don't-
Crockett science.
Ha! Well done. Who else did we see Silent Signs? Gosh.
Oh, so
I'm kind of just going off
many.
the cuff here right now.
We played some soccer.
Yes, we had a mystery game. Well, this wasn't announced anyways when we first booked the appointment. It is free to play right now for all of you out there. Football Heroes League. We got our butts kicked. We were playing Team Barely Magic Mike and some rando,
Yes.
who was apparently very good at the game.
Yes.
And we lost 6-0.
Zero.
But,
Zilch. Zip.
I got to chat with the developer a little bit about this title. I actually, in a local LAN kind of setting, I know this game apparently is having quite a few issues with its online functionality right now, making it a bit of a nightmare. Apparently, according to Steam users. I don't know how much of that is exaggerated or not, but
Yeah, a little bit of hearsay at this point. We haven't tried it ourselves yet.
gotta say I kind of had a fun time with that match, even though I was getting my butt kicked. There was something arcadey and zany about it. It reminded me of like the NBA Jam days, the NFL Blitz. I'm going to keep my eye on that game and just see how it progresses through early access, which, fairness, it is early access.
Definitely.
Because there's some components to this game that I liked.
It's definitely doing some things right. It kind of gave me some Rocket League vibes as well, you know,
Yes.
of course, being soccer and kind of cartoony in that way.
And I did ask the developer about the character designs. He said he was very much inspired from 90s cartoons and all that kind of thing. And there was definitely some boobage and buttage going on.
There
in that
was
game, I
some
have to say.
boobage and buttage.
And some furryage, maybe? I don't know.
Furrage.
If you're into the tiger thing. So,
I think that was a lion.
yeah. Was it a lion? I don't remember. Yeah, you're right. It was a lion.
Yeah.
It was a lion. So, not that I have anything against that. It just struck me a little bit.
It is
Certainly caught my attention.
distinct.
Yeah. A lot of butts in that one, if you're into butts.
And
And
lions.
soccer. Booty soccer, you could call it. So that was interesting. And Barely Magic Mike was very concerned. We were walking by that booth. He's like, I hope this is not the sports game we have to play. He's not a big sports guy. He ended up having an okay time. But
Yeah,
hey,
he
he was
was-
on the winning end.
He was great at it, so.
Yes. But one of my favorite booths we went to, Dread XP.
Yes.
Cool folks over there. Definitely dressed for the gig.
Oh my god, I loved everything about being at that booth.
Yes, I played Heartworm, which is a throwback to 90s retro survival horror games. Has a little bit of a Fatal Frame vibe to it too going on because you use your camera as your main weapon and you're snapping photos of these ghostly, almost static images. They kind of look like they came out of your old CRT TV or something. Game has the fixed cameras, it has the classic menus. They really did an amazing job with this title emulating the look of a classic Resident Evil game. I had a very good time going hands-on with it. Again, this is a title where I think it would be much better at home when you have the headphones on potentially, or a 5.1 system or whatever. You've got good speakers and you're kind of taking it all in. It's tricky to sit there and solve puzzles
Yeah, exactly.
in a public setting.
That's what I was saying. There's a lot of like pressure and there's a time crunch.
And am I playing too long? Is
Yeah.
another person waiting? That kind
is
of thing.
this person watching me play the game judging me for the fact that I can't get past this simple thing?
Exactly. But what I can tell you is I thought Heartworm was very promising. You got to see a little bit of it. What did you think? I know this isn't your genre per se, but
I enjoy watching this genre. I'm not very good at the controls usually.
yeah, well,
when
that
it comes
was the
to
cool thing
survival
with this
horror.
one. They did offer the tank controls, and you can see this in the interview too. We talk about it a little bit, but they also have the modern scheme, which feels great.
So that
honestly.
might honestly be better for me.
Yeah, I got around pretty easily with that modern scheme.
It
Now,
looks great.
yes, it does. And you still run into that thing because fixed cameras
Yeah, right.
are limited in what they can do, is that you're kind of lost on the screen or you get a little bit thrown off here or there when you switch angles quick. But overall, I was really excited about it. What was the game Mike played?
Mike was playing Vile Exhumed.
Yes, thank you for remembering that
Oh,
title.
you're so welcome.
I knew it was Vile. I always think of Carmen Sandiego. Was it Vile in that?
Desperately want to play Vile.
Yeah, it looked like an old computer game, sort of DOS.
I'm very much into that style of game where you're kind of just. Also, I also like when movies take this approach where you're kind of watching things kind of go down through a computer screen.
Yeah, I like it too.
And there's like a mystery involved and you're digging through to find out what happened. So.
What was he giggling about, though, while he was playing? There was something going on here.
There's. As he mentioned in the interview with that developer, there's very
Something
much
phallic.
a tone to the game, which is obviously very dark, but there is also quite a sense of humor to it. One of the things he was joking about was there was a reference to the Necronomicon, like the Necronomicon.
No, I figured it out.
Yeah,
that wasn't too difficult.
Okay. So that was referenced in there, and he was dying, and then we couldn't stop laughing, even though there's really dark stuff going on.
Now, what is the actual gameplay of Vile Exhumed?
It's basically you're digging through this person's computer to try and get to the bottom of what I could only assume was the owner's or somebody's murder, basically.
Oh, it's a murder mystery of sorts.
Right. And there's
Kind of like a Her Story?
kind of, but without the videos and things like that. But, you're going through different websites and looking at purchase history and emails and things like that. It was really cool.
It did look very cool. So good stuff over there. And they had other games that we didn't get to go hands on. They had Amanda the Adventurer 3.
Yes.
Quick turnaround for that one. I feel like we were just playing 2.
We were.
So 3's already launching.
Weirdly, I really enjoy the Amanda the Adventurer games.
I also do, because I'm a person that enjoys tricky puzzles. I like you're better at them than me. But I enjoy the satisfaction of solving them. Though I will say the Amanda ones are really, really tough.
They can be. They definitely can be. Which
for
is
a kids game, or a game that's kind of marketed towards kids.
It's definitely not a kids game, but kids found joy in watching it.
Just
I
like
think
Poppy Playtime, right?
It's kind of the Markiplier effect, which I love Markiplier. I think he's great. But all of those games, the kids just go ham for.
Yeah, I mean that's his audience, right? Youth.
Yes.
So.
I mean it's not all youth, I think.
There's nothing's all of something.
Plenty of folks my age, but I don't know. I think he just makes it accessible for the kiddos, so maybe that's why.
It's a great audience to have.
For sure.
Mean, they'll be watching him for a long time.
Yeah,
I would assume.
But then he does it, and then everybody else does it, and anyway. But those games in particular, I'm not a fan of all of the other indie horrors that the youths are playing, but I do enjoy me some Amanda the Adventurer.
I like it quite a bit too. So exciting to see a sequel. This is good news for fans, even though sometimes these quick turnarounds can go a little bit. We'll see. We'll see how it all comes out. That first puzzle in Amanda the Adventurer 2 almost had me rage quit. It was not well made, but then the rest of the game was really fun. So it's one of those things where I hate to be the guy where it's it gets better eventually, but in that case it actually happened.
It actually does get better.
But Dread XP, cool booth over there. They had another game called Lacerator as well.
Oh, and there's Pig Head.
Yeah, there was some other stuff going on there.
Really interesting stuff.
Unfortunately, I just didn't get to go hands-on with everything.
There's only so much time, especially when you're not only trying to check out the games, but then also talk to the devs, and got to balance.
I would say just in general, keep an eye on Dread XP. Maybe check out their website, what games they have coming up, because their stuff is so good, generally speaking, that it's all worth at least wish listing. And it's so easy to wish list games nowadays. So another booth we stopped at briefly, played a couple games, was the Toge Productions booth. Compensation Not Guaranteed is the title that I went hands-on with. Kind of an interesting title where you have customers coming into you, and I shouldn't say literally coming into you.
Ew.
You have customers coming to visit you in order to have papers signed, important deeds and whatnot, but you are checking those papers for fraudulent activities. So maybe they've forge their name or something like that. Maybe they're trying to scam someone out of money. They're trying to get someone's inheritance, that kind of thing. And your job is to basically find the differences between the two papers that they give you. So they might have like a birth certificate, for example, right? And then they might have a house deed. And you spot the little differences between those two. Like they might have fucked up their name on one of those.
Or their birthday, or their address.
And you circle that on both documents. And you reject it if they did so. And you hand it back to them and you piss that person off.
And then they don't get compensation.
Right. Or it's all good to go and you approve it. And that is this game. You're meeting strange animal creatures. It's really all about the conversations, the funny characters that you meet. And,
It's a bit like Papers, Please, or like a Death and Taxes type situation. But some really unique artwork. I know I say unique a lot, but I don't know how else you would describe the look of this game.
You have to have a good eye for this one, for detail, to enjoy this title. But I had a good time with it.
Yeah, we were having some fun with that. And then while you were playing that, Mike was also checking out Undusted.
Yeah, so Undusted is all about polishing
Cleaning.
off dust, right? On old
cleaning
items?
objects, kind of doing some
Touch-up work?
not touch-up work. What's the word? Like an archaeologist almost. So you're dusting off.
Finishing?
Both with like sponges and a toothbrush and a rag, and you have to like get the percentage of cleanliness to go up
to
as
100%, right?
to
And he was like struggling.
99%, I believe.
Yeah, he got it to like
98.
He got it to like 98, and he could not find that one last speck
we
of
couldn't
dust.
find a speck of dust.
He said it was very relaxing though, despite that.
Yeah.
He seemed to like it.
And it had a cool pixel art aesthetic to it, which is not what I was expecting. I thought was neat.
Yeah, I thought it looked cool. They were so adorable over there at that booth.
Everything there was cute. All of the games were cute. All of the people were cute. It was just a cute booth. I can't wait to play everything from Toge.
That was a theme throughout this PAX East. Good energy at the booths this year.
Yeah,
great people.
for the most part.
They had wonderful PR for the most part this year. Fantastic. Always one of my favorite booths to stop by was Retroware. You know this company is on the rise, Silent Signs. They have some great looking games. Of course, Toxic Crusaders coming up. They have some of the folks that did the pixel art from TMNT Shredder's Revenge involved with this beat-em-up brawler. It's been brewing for a while.
Not only that, they had hot sauce.
They did, and we bought it.
We did buy hot sauce.
Was it like a prickly pear?
No, it was a lime, cilantro lime or something like that.
I really can't wait to get a better taste
Caribbean
for it.
lime is what it was.
Okay. You know what? I have some leftover codfish. Maybe it would go good on that.
There you go.
Yeah, I might do that later.
They were actually telling us off camera. I know it didn't end up in the interview or anything like that, but
We're talking to Justin. Shout out to Justin.
Going to be doing some collaborations with different game developers to make different types of hot sauces.
I thought that was such a cool idea. You know, maybe to cut out the whole doing the work yourself manufacturing and teaming up.
Super cool.
Yeah, I thought that was really clever. They got the nice little retroware on the bottle label.
Yeah,
so
as a fan of hot sauces in general.
And video games.
And video games.
I thought it was great.
It's super cool.
I was just talking to you not that long ago, Silent Signs.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if I was in a second business, it would be the hot sauce business.
The only thing we ever buy whenever we go to any sort of like craft fairs or like events or even like the county fairs is hot sauce. We always buy hot sauce.
Absolutely. I'm a big hot sauce fan. I just don't like the blazing, burn your ass hot sauces.
I want it to still taste like something. I want to have taste buds when I'm done eating it.
This one over at the Retroware booth is only registered. They have it as a 5 out of 10. So hopefully it's not like burn my soul out of my body hot, but I'm very much looking forward to trying that just as much as
Full
I'm looking
review
forward to
on the channel.
All their games here. It's became a hot sauce podcast apparently, but they had an awesome 2D side-scrolling shooter for play there. I think this demo also went public at some point. It might still be public, but the game is called Neon Inferno. Great SNES style graphics, high octane energy. They are delivering the games that we loved in our childhood. They also had a new Angry Video Game Nerd 8-bit they're also making, which is of course naturally an NES style game that pays homage to the famous Angry Video Game Nerd, and he was very excited about that release in our conversation.
Yes, for sure. I mean, everything they had going on there looks great. Looks very polished, promising.
Simon Quest, too, shout out.
I know you've loved their games that you've played thus far.
So far, yes. Iron Meat. We even talked a little bit about how Iron Meat was performing, and he was very proud, Justin, of the fact that it had more reviews on Steam than Operation Galuga, an actual Contra game that got released around the same time. So more people apparently have enjoyed Iron Meat over an actual Contra game because it delivers more of what they want.
I'd be proud of my Iron Meat, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's really cool to hear that this indie game is delivering more than the actual AAA franchise is nowadays, that it was kind of based around. I thought that was neat. And then over at the Easebird Games booth, you got hands-on with Love Eternal, a brutally tough-looking platformer that had gravity involved with it, right? It's where you were kind of shifting gravity to survive.
Yeah, this one definitely gave me some flashbacks to like Celeste and things like that, where precision platforming that could very quickly ramp up in difficulty. But love the style of it. It's got a really nice, simplistic pixel art style, but there's some really trippy things going on in the footage of the game that I've seen outside of the demo. Very tragically, about 15 minutes into my demo, all of their computer screens went blank.
Was it like their plug got pulled?
I think
or
somebody
like that?
tripped a switch.
Ooh.
And everything went down, and
Yeah.
my computer that I was playing on never went back up.
They were in panic mode for a second.
They were. I
Everyone
felt
else's
bad.
game picked up where it left off. That was the
Except
weird part.
mine.
Except yours.
But that's okay. I got a pretty good taste of what the game is, and I want to play it. So.
Yes, I very much liked what I saw out of it. I like precision platformers, tricky ones. It did seem like it was one of those games where you had to study a room for a while, take a few deaths.
Yeah, take a few tries, and it was very generous with checkpoints, at least in the beginning where I was playing, where, you wouldn't, like, lose 3 rooms of progress if you died, so...
So yeah, PAX, it was a lot of fun. There's so much more to talk about with the games, but I recommend checking out the video to see everything
For sure.
that we got our hands
or
on
at least
with.
most of it.
And then we had so much fun outside of PAX too, just finding that hidden little bar. that we
Oh,
found, the
yeah.
Speakeasy,
We went to a speakeasy.
which I did not know was a thing, but you and Barely Magic Mike were at least somewhat familiar with.
Of course.
So this is interesting. We were bringing Mike to a dispensary, as he tends to go, to get his CBD gummies or whatever the heck he was. He wanted to get high or something. I don't
Guy
know.
needed
Which
to
is totally
sleep.
legal in Boston. That's fine. He can get as high as he wants. And affordably too, apparently.
Yeah.
He got like 3 bags of gummies for $7 each. I'm
Well,
not a
anyway.
weed guy, but
On our quest.
on that quest to get weed for Mike, we also discovered a hidden alley. I was like Googling on my phone, where's a local place we could go drink right
Yeah,
now?
we needed to kill some time. We were meeting up with friends for dinner, and we figured,
And suddenly I'm standing in this alley and like, my GPS says that we should be here. And I see this strange door. I'm like, this can't be right. But then other guests appear, and the door opens, and I see this well-dressed, attractive woman come out, welcoming them in.
Yeah, how many?
How many? And I'm like, what? Is this the place? And Mike's
Joe's
like, oh,
yeah, he's
this
like,
is-
maybe we should go somewhere else. I don't know about this. I'm like, no, we gotta.
I was concerned not only because the location was very odd to me, but because everyone seemed very well dressed. And I was in like my nerdy PAX gear still.
Yeah.
And Mike was like, no, they're going to let us in. They're going to, okay. And they had some standing room. And we got to stand around in this place that really reminded me of an Atlas game. Like I walked into Catherine's bar.
Like the
or
Stray
something
Sheep.
Yeah. It was freaking awesome. It was the coolest place I went in the entire trip.
Yeah.
What did you think of the speakeasy?
That was definitely my favorite part of PAX. I'm so sorry. PAX was awesome. It was so great, but this speakeasy was so cool.
Maybe I can I shout it out if you're ever in the Boston area?
Yeah, it was called Offsuit.
Offsuit. Okay, yeah. If you are ever in the Boston area, the secret is out now. Go to Offsuit and get one of their delicious margaritas, were they? Or the bunch of different drinks.
I forget what mine was called, but I know that Mike had a
Something watermelon.
espresso martini that was not just called an espresso martini, it was called an espresso fucking martini, which you said I could swear, so I'm going to say the proper name of the drink.
Was that literally what it was called?
Yeah.
I didn't even catch that.
Yeah,
Did he order it as that?
he did.
Wow.
It was beautiful.
What'd the girl think? I mean, she probably hears
She hears it all the time. It's on her menu.
Right. So I got a nice dry pear cider, and it was so good. It was actually the best drink I had, too.
Yeah, no, everything there was great. The style of everything was great. It looked like it was like ripped out of the past or something.
I'm so glad they let us in, too, because it was fairly crowded. There's a
Yeah.
whole, like, fancy restaurant through another door, which is even crazier.
I smelled somebody's like Brussels sprouts coming out, and I was like,
I'm like, someone goes to work here every day? This is
amazing.
madness. But
Crazy.
that was awesome. And then I would also just say meeting up with the actual I Dream of Indie Games
yeah.
community, like in full force for the first time this year. We had so many of our community members made the trip to PAX this year, at least 4 or 5 members, right? We had a big crowd go out to Mexican food. That was so much fun.
Yep.
And then we had retro night on our last night there, which was a Friday. And that was all classic video games set up and so much fun.
Yeah, that was a great time. I mean, we actually stumbled upon Retro Night last year when we went, and quite by accident. We didn't know it was happening, but we're like, we'll just check this place out.
Again, shout out to the Sam Adams Tavern.
Sam Adams Tap Room.
Tap Room, is it? Tap Room?
Yes.
Out on State Street there in Boston.
Yep.
Definitely stop by if you're ever in the area.
Yeah. Last year I had won a gift card when we went, and I said, well, we're just going to have to go back next year so I can use the gift card. And I remembered it, and we did, and we had a great time, and we met a bunch of folks there. We met the gentleman who created the specialty drink that was being released called The Last Boss.
Yes, which is like an 8.2%.
8.3% sour, which...
Ironically, I didn't have one. I kept drinking cherry wheats all night.
I had one last year. I wasn't really drinking much. I think I just had one drink that whole evening. I got to talking, and
I certainly had more than one.
One thing led to another, and then it was 10 o'clock, and the place was closing. But
let's just say the I Dream of Indie community got a little rowdy, I'd say. Not like out of control rowdy, but we had a damn good
great time.
We were
watched,
playing some Mario 64. Mario Kart, I'm sorry.
Lion King.
Lion King, yes. Shout out to Jen in the community. She beat the game live.
She
in front
did.
Of the audience. Threw Scar off of the mountain.
She earned herself a drink for beating it too.
Yep. So all in all, a really, really great time this year at PAX East. Glad it's over now, even though I'm going to miss everybody and such. But, when you're away for a couple days, it does make you appreciate your home and
and
just
your
like
animals,
your bed, really.
Your
the big thing.
Pets.
It is tough to
things.
sleep in like another bed.
It is. And we stayed in a lovely bed and breakfast, though.
It was great.
We met some really cool folks that were also staying there.
Very interested in what we do.
I always feel
you don't meet a lot of people that
weird talking about
yeah. This is kind of what we do.
Because, I had to take a few days off of work, and everybody at work is like, so what are you doing? Where are you going? And I'm like, oh, well, I have to go to this thing in the city. And they're like, oh, well, what? You going to that? And I'm like, yeah, well, it's part of this other thing that I do.
It's not the easiest thing to explain to people that don't know video games.
And then you have to explain the whole thing. Well, it's a YouTube channel.
Yeah, it is a whole spiel.
It's a whole thing.
But, sorry for the unorthodox podcast this week. Normally we have our normal rundown of, community topic and question.
Yeah, we'll get back to
so,
the comments from the week prior next week.
But we just did not have it in us to write a whole, news script out and all that.
Plus, there was so much news from PAX and all the games we tried.
And Mike's not here till next week. He's going to have a bunch of stuff that he's been playing.
Yep.
He's getting ready for another convention coming up soon, which we can't talk about
Very
just yet.
excited about
Very
that.
Very exciting stuff there. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll get back to normal next week.
Well, normal for us.
Normal for us. We hope you enjoyed this. A little bit of a different episode as we recapped PAX East. Enjoy the video on the channel. Plenty of content coming to you this week. New reviews, all that kind of thing. I will be working my tuchus off, as I do.
Nice. Well, you don't have one, so there's not much to lose.
True as well. So voice to the voiceless, everybody. See you on the next episode, and... Oh, yeah.
All right.
Woo! For far too long, you, the gamer, have been denied honest gaming coverage. Indie developers and publishers have lost their voice, but no longer. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and head over to patreon.com/idreamofindiegames to join this epic campaign for indie visibility. The echo chamber trembles as our message grows louder. Voice to the voiceless.